my quads and hams warmed up with isolation movements, just leg extensions, leg curls, put some blood in, got them active a little bit. Now what I need to do is I need to open up my mobility before I start squatting. So in order to do that, we have to do a few different things. One, I'm going to stretch my calves. Calves are the only muscle that I'm going to statically stretch to get them open. Everything else, if you try to statically stretch a prime mover, you actually weaken it because you're fully lengthening it and you're actually weakening the integrity and causing a little bit of structural damage. So you never want to statically stretch anything that's going to be a prime mover in the exercises. So my calves I can statically stretch. So I can just find literally any spot here. Normally what I'll do is I'll use my body weight. So I'll actually stand up onto something and then I'll let it come down. And the first thing I'll do is I'll stretch my gastrocs. That's with my knees straight. But when we squat down, our knee is flexed. So what that does is it translates to the soleus. So you have to stretch with your knee bent as well. So now what I'll do is actually stretch my calves with my knee bent a little bit. I have my other foot planted on the ground so that I'm not putting too much weight on it, because you can see I'm shaking a little bit due to the tension. Blood sugar is also a little bit low because I didn't eat very well today. But today's not going to be a full-on workout, so I'm not really worried about it. You need to be able to have uniform weight distribution on your feet and be able to squat properly. Otherwise, you're going to typically be driven forward when you have tight calves. And I'll explain more when we actually go into the squatting portion. A lot of the times people are worried about being able to hold the bar in place when they front squat. So this is to an extent going to be determined by the strength of your traps and upper back to really get it in place. But if your mobility is completely open and you can sit in proper alignment, it really doesn't take much to hold the bar up. So if I jump into the bar right now, my mobility is pretty much open. So if you watch from the side, the bar is going to stay directly over the center of my feet at all times. I'm not trying to sit my ass back, I'm sitting straight down. So when I sit, literally this doesn't take any effort. I'm not like fighting to hold the bar up. It's sitting directly over my center line. I can talk, I can move, it's easy. So it barely takes anything to hold this here. Now I like to play with a number of different stances just so that I can target different areas. Typically, you're going to go with your power stance. Your power stance is going to be basically sit straight up, squeeze your glutes into a peak contraction, and just keep picking your feet up. And you're naturally going to go to where your strongest stance is going to be. So, this is where my strongest stance is going to be, right here. I'm going to be able to generate the most force from here. However, I'm going to get some adductor in that because my toes are turned out. And if I want to take my adductor out of the movement, I'm just going to point my toes forward. Now, you have to have really open mobility for this. Getting real good activation. But that's not If this is semi-light, I'll go 365. If it's real light, do 405 a shot. We're, what, 10, 11 days out of the show?
Not bad.
Might as well do something stupid. Cake.
I was gonna say, that moved really nice.
Problem is my breathing gonna hold out.
Wow. Yeah, the muscle strength there is just your...
The strength is there. The endurance is still not there post-show. So the key to really loading the quads under stretch is maintaining upright posture. It's going to come from really good mobility, specifically ankle mobility. A lot of times people are battling to stabilize the bar and keep it up because the bar is pulling them forward a little bit because they lack the ankle mobility. I'm able to sit back perfectly and keep my feet evenly distributed on the floor. I'm not driving on my toes, I'm not driving on my heels, I'm not getting any internal or external rotation of the knees. I'm able to stay in perfect alignment, keep uniform weight distribution throughout my feet, and just drive down with perfect mechanics and drive straight up through my center line. I'm not sticking my ass out as I squat. A lot of bodybuilders are taught that, like powerlifting style, to move more weight. And I hate that because it loads the posterior chain, takes stress off the quads. What you want to do is you want to squat straight down. You want to aim your ass straight down between your heels. Just think about it like this. Where are you going to be strongest? If I had, say, a plate in my hand and I threw it on the ground for you and it was so heavy that you could barely lift it off the ground if you used every ounce of strength that you had, where would you stand to pick it up? Would you stand behind it? No, you would not. In order to generate the most force and bring out the most strength out of your body, you would stand right over top of it and try to pick it up through your center line. That's where you would be strongest. So if you can keep the bar straight down through your center line, you're going to be strongest. But you have to be able to maintain upright posture to do that. I dropped this weight down to 225, not because I can't perform the movement with 315 or 405, but simply because I'm going to do something unsafe in the middle of the set, just for the sake of demonstration. So at 225, I know I'm not going to get hurt, but don't do this. This is not what you're supposed to do. I'm just going to demonstrate so that you can see the shift and the difference in the middle of the set. So I'm going to do it first with no weight. If you noticed when I was front squatting, I was front squatting from my power stance. My toes are turned down a little bit. Feet are nice and wide. I'm getting a lot of glute in this, and my adductors are assisting. So if you notice when I squat down, my knees are coming out. I'm getting a little bit of lateral torque so that my feet evenly grip the ground, and it brings my sweep into it, activates my glutes, activates all muscles uniformly. I'm going to be able to lift the most amount of weight. That's what this would be. However, if I want to just target quads, remove the glutes from the movement, and make sure my hams can't really assist very much, or adductors, necessarily drastically reduce the amount of weight you can use. What I'm going to do is actually move my stance in a little bit, point my toes forward. Now what this prevents me from doing is kicking those knees out, activating the glutes and the adductors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my knees track straight over my toes. Now you need really good mobility for this. Hip flexors need to be open. And one more cue we're going to follow with this now is instead of sitting back and opening up the knees, what I'm gonna think of is doing a cannonball into the pool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually take my knees, I'm gonna take my quads, I'm gonna tuck them into my stomach. I want to touch my rib cage to the top of my quad, my RF, without leaning forward. I'm gonna stay postured up, I'm gonna stick my rib cage out, and I'm gonna tuck my hips as much as possible, but knees in. You can't do this unless you have really good mobility. Then I'm gonna do cannonball squats at the end to show you, again, another version of this, but I'm doing it with the front squats right now. And this is gonna keep the quads really, really loaded, whereas with the cannonball squat, you can kick the posterior chain in a little bit. But I'm gonna squat down here. You're not gonna be able to get as deep, but my quads are tucked right into my ribs. So I'm gonna just stand up with this. And I can pretty much breathe with this and do whatever. But my feet are out. And this would be my power stance. Now I want to bring my feet in and drive my knees straight forward. You're not gonna get as much depth. But I'm right here, nice and comfortable, postured up, bars in place, over my center line.